Hi everyone, Sandy here. I used my leftover papers from the Country Craft Creations Tea and Wonderland paper collection to create this 4 by 8 1/4 little folio. I'm going to show you what it looks like here in the front of the video and also then have the tutorial for it, so stay tuned. So let's take a peek inside. I kept it pretty simple here on the front, nice and flat. I did add one of the tags here, or the cut aparts. I added some of the Nouveau crystal glaze on the keyhole, and then I added a little bit here on the ribbon and the bow down here on this image. Otherwise, I kept it real flat and added this Wonderland here on the back. It has a ribbon closure with the seam binding from Country Craft Creations. And when you open it up, you see parts of the inside. I decided to keep the spines the light blue rather than cutting down strips of pattern paper because I was getting really low and didn't have quite enough that were long enough. But anyway, I used this pattern here as you open it up. Then these both open back. And on this side, we have a flap with a pocket, and this side we have a little pocket with a flap at the top. So let's start from the left. So this one is held closed with a tag that I made out of a cut apart. Added the circle here on the top. So that pocket's there, and then this flap lifts back for a tuck spot here and a cut apart right there on the side. So that just closes shut and the tag goes back in. Here we have a page that flaps backwards, and then it has a flap that's held with a magnet. And then here we have a pocket where I just tucked in a bunch of the cut aparts and an extra photo mat. You know, whatever you have left over that you want to tuck into your pocket, you can do that. And then here we have, I added one of the cut aparts, which is also a tuck spot that you could actually, tuck a photo in behind there if you wanted to. And here are some little vertical waterfalls. There's 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom, so they're held with a magnet and it just flips back. I left everything plain on the back sides. Just flips up, just a regular waterfall. This closes back up, and then this closes over, and then here we have a tuck spot with the tea time, and then we have a magnetic closure here on this horizontal waterfall that, again, I've just patterned the front of the flaps. Left everything else the cardstock so you could add photos. And then on this one, I did add a tuck spot here, folded one of the cut aparts over and decorated that side there, and then added one here. And that's it. It's a real simple little folio that you can make. And I have a tutorial here in this video, so stay tuned. For this folio, you're going to need to make the base part of it probably about 5, maybe 6 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock. I am using the Artisan light blue. It kind of looks white in the video, but it is a light blue. You'll need some of what's left of your pattern papers collection. I am using what's left of my Tea in Wonderland after making my junk journal. I still have quite a bit of that. At this point, I don't know how many sheets you will need. It just depends on how you cut yours. So you'll need a paper collection in the 12 by 12. So I am using Country Craft Creations Tea in Wonderland. Of course, you're going to need your adhesive, so I'm going to be using art glitter glue. So grab your scoreboard, your trimmer, a ruler, scissors, and let's get started making a folio. I have cut all my cardstock that I will need to make the base of this folio. I've done my scoring, but I'm going to go over it with you. I'll also give you the measurements and the scoring measurements as I go across the top of the screen, probably up above. So let me move this down so you can see what I'm doing when I have the measurements at the top. So first we're going to do the base, the cover. So you need one piece that is cut for the left side at 8¼ by 10, 8¼ by 10. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to score this at, which I've already done, we're going to score at, on the 10-inch side, at 3½, 4, 8½, and at 9½. Then go ahead and fold and burnish up your score lines. So again, this is the left side of my folio cover. So we're going to have this little 1/2 inch right here. Burnish that, the fold line. So it's going to be like that. This is your left side right here. Now then, for the right side, you need a piece that is 12 inches by 8¼ and we're going to score, I have it upside down. We're going to score at 4½. We have the 12-inch at the top. We're going to score at 4½, 5, and 9. And then go ahead and fold those up. So while we have these out, let's go ahead and glue them together to make the cover. So we have these burnished like this. Okay, so that is the right side of our folio. This will be on the left. The whitest goes to the left. So let me move the scoreboard out of the way and we'll get our art glitter glue. Now you're going to attach this together on this 1/2 inch right here. Put this to the right, the 1/2 inch flap. I'm taking my glue and put glue just on the 1/2 inch tab here. And my glue is getting low again. Here we go. Let's see if we can get it out. I've used a lot of glue out of this in the last few days. So here we go. So glue just on the 1/2 inch tab. This is to give us one long piece for our folio. So the edge where you have your 4½, right here, goes right up against that score line. Make sure they're even top and bottom. You want it nice and straight and burnish that. Okay, flip it over and burnish. So that's going to give us our space there. So we still have the 1 inch space here for our folio. This folds in like this. This folds in like that. So there is your folio. Like that, we're going to add in some more pieces. So let's go ahead and I will give you some more measurements. There, I had it folded wrong. There it goes. Got two halves on the outside and the one over here. Okay. Next, we're going to do an extra page. This is our inside page. Let's get our scoreboard. And this one, we cut it to 9 by 8¼ We're going to score the 9-inch side at a 1/2 inch, 3/4, and at 5. So go ahead and fold these up and burnish. So get that. These two lines first. This is going to give us a 1/2 inch attachment with a little 1/4 inch gusset, and then we have a flap here that folds just like that. So before we attach that into our folio, let's go ahead and do our other pieces. So we're just going to lay this aside. That's an extra page. We're going to make 2 vertical pockets. So both of these are 2¼ by 9¼ You put your 9 1/4 in at the top. You're going to score at a 1/2 inch. Turn so that your 2 1/4 is at the top, score at a 1/2 inch, and then turn again on the 9 1/4 side and score at a 1/2 inch. So what that ends up being is you have a 1/2 inch on 2 short ends and 1 across the long end. And I've already done this one. And you do take your scissors, and where the 2 score lines intersect, we're just going to cut that right there, miter it, then fold them in and check to see if they're, make sure they're not overlapping here on the corners. So that was a nice corner, and that one's good. So there we go. We can burnish those, and we'll burnish them again before we actually put them in the album. But that is how you do the pocket. So set that aside. Let's do the other one the same way. I've already scored mine. So you miter cut right across the intersection there at an angle. Go ahead and fold up just to check. Make sure we don't need to trim, just a little bit more, and that works. So those are ready to be burnished. Okay, so there's the 2 vertical pockets. We'll throw this away. Next, we make a short pocket, or what I call a short pocket. And for this one, you need a 4 1/2 by 4. And you're going to score on your 4 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch and at 4 inch. Turn, score your 4 inch side at just a 1/2 inch. And that makes the pocket. So you're going to miter cut again, just like we did on the other one, right across the intersections. Fold those up. And burnish and double check. I forgot to check. Make sure they're not overlapping. There we go. They're fine. So that is a little short pocket right there. Okay. Next, we're going to do a flap. So this is 4 inches by 4 1/2. We're going to score 4 inch side just at a 1/2 inch. And that just makes the attachment there. So go ahead and fold and burnish. Now then, the rest of this, I haven't done all of them, is for the waterfall. Sure, I have all that laid up there. Okay. We have closure pieces and waterfall flaps. Okay, so you have 13 of these. 13 for the waterfall flaps. You're going to make 3 different waterfalls in your folio. So cut all of these to 4 inches by 3 1/2. Cut out 13 that are 4 inches by 3 1/2. We're going to put the 3 1/2 inch side at the top and score at a 1/2 inch on all of them. And then, of course, you will fold and burnish that. So go ahead and do the other 12. Go ahead and get all of those done, and I will do mine off camera, and then I'll be back with those all done. Okay, so I have all 13 scored and burnished of these flaps. I am going to stub punch. No, wait, I'm going to scallop punch the 2 corners on the flaps and the 2 corners on all the waterfalls. So I'm using my chomper that does the scallop, which is this style. So that is the flap. And then I'm also going to do it on all of these, just the 2 bottom flaps. So make sure I'm using the scallop. And then what I will do with the pattern paper is use the opposite, use the stub. So I'm going to go ahead again and do all of these off camera. So if you are doing any decorative punching for your flaps, waterfalls, and your flap, go ahead and do that now. So I have all my waterfall flaps scalloped, punched on the corners, and my flap for my album. So now we need to make some closures for our waterfalls. So we need one that is 2 3/4 by 5 1/2, and we're going to score the 5 1/2 at 1/2 inch. And while I've got this, I'm going to go ahead and punch this as well. I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish and then scallop punch this flap. Excuse me. Then we need 2 that are 3 inches by 1 1/4. And we're going to score on both of these the 3-inch side at 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. Okay. Fold those, burnish. And then we're going to scallop the ends of these as well. Just like that. Okay. And then the last cardstock thing that we have a piece that is 7 by 5 1/4. We're going to score the 7-inch side at at 3 1/2. We're going to score it in half at 3 1/2. Fold and burnish that. It's going to make us a photo mat booklet. And I'm going to go ahead and scallop punch the 2 corners on that as well. Okay, so now we're ready to start assembling. Okay, using the art glitter glue, we're going to take our page, and where the 1/2 inch is, right here, we're going to flatten that down. I'm going to put glue on my 1/2 inch tab here. Okay, this piece here, now on your folder, you have your narrow part here, then a 1/2 inch space and a 1 inch space. In your 1 inch space here, we're going to put this, just the 1/2 inch into the 1 inch space right along that fold line. And make sure it lines up on the bottom and the top and right along the fold line. Okay, and burnish that in. So we've got that right there. So that folds up like that, and stand up your 1/4 inch space again, like that for your folio. Okay, so open it back up. Let's add our pocket and our flap next, or short pocket. Okay, so with the folio opened up like this, again, we have the narrowest section here and then the 1/2 inch right here. We're going to take our pocket and we're going to put it down here in this first section with it opened up between the left edge and the first fold line of the 1/2 inch gusset. So I'm going to put glue on all 3 sides. In the back like this where they're folded down, like that. And we're going to place this. I'm going to start towards the outer edge more, put my fold along the cut edge, make sure it's lining up right there and along the bottom, giving me plenty of room here for the 1/2 inch fold. Clean off any glue that might come out and burnish this down for this pocket. Okay, so we have a pocket here. Then our little flap is going to go to the left side, and it's going to line up at the top, so there will be a tiny bit of space down here. So we put glue with it folded like that on the 1/2 inch. Turn this a little bit so I can see. Put my fold against the left cut edge. Put this all the way up to the top. Bring this down, make sure it's lined up, and burnish. So there's that little flap there in that section. Okay. Next, let's do our vertical pockets. We're going to put the first vertical pocket here on the right. So we have, this is where your little flap is and your page. So all the way over here to the right, you have a section, and then you have this wider section, and you have the 1/2 inch right here. This pocket is going to go in the wider section right along that fold line, so that we have a 1/2 inch right here gusset. Okay, so flip your pocket over, and on the back side on your attachment flaps, put your glue. The bottom fold of the pocket's going to go right along, maybe about a 1 32 seconds from just a hairline away from the fold line. And make sure it's lining up down here at the bottom and at the top. Get it on nice and straight. Go ahead and burnish those. We have these pockets here. Okay, the other vertical pocket is going to go here on this page, and I'm going to open this up. I'm going to put it right here on this flap, just a hair away from the fold line. Okay, so glue on the back side of the flaps, just on that 1/2 inch. Okay, we want the fold of the pocket going right along the fold of this section, just a hair away from it, and along this flap edge, make sure they're even. And burnish. So there we have a pocket in there. So then this folds in like that. Okay. Next, we're going to do our waterfalls. They're going to go in this section and this section. Okay, and I'm wanting, that's a closure, that's a closure, that's a closure. Okay, that's a booklet. Put that booklet right there. Excuse me. So we want 7 grouped together, and they're going to run like that. We have a grouping of 3, going to be like that, and a grouping of 3 like this. Okay, so I'm going to put these, I would call these the horizontal ones, in this section here. Now then, we're going to start here at the top, and I'm just going to look it over, see where my center is. And we're going to leave it up like this, where we can add our, I'm trying to think, we're going to need to add our pattern paper first. Yeah, I think it's going to be better if we do our pattern paper. So we're going to hold off on these. We're going to put these on after we add pattern paper here to this section, and then we'll put these on after we add pattern paper to this section. So we need to do that, and these closures will also go on like this. And this one will go here. Okay, so I'm going to start looking at my pattern papers and decide what I want for these 2 sections first. For those sections that will have the waterfalls, I'm going to double mat. I'm going to use my colors in the Coral Rose, so that's an add-on. So I've used 1 sheet of that for now, and then this pattern paper here with the beautiful roses and flowers. I use 1 sheet of that from the collection from the Tea in Wonderland. So from the My Colors cardstock, you need one that's 4 7/8 wide by 8 1/8, and one that is 4 3/8 wide by 8 1/8. And then the pattern paper, you need one that is 4 3/4 wide by 8, and one that is 4 1/4 wide by 8. 4 1/4 wide by 8. I'm going to go ahead and put my pattern paper onto the My Colors cardstock. This is cardstock also from Country Craft Creations. She has a ton of beautiful colors that can match any collection you're working with. So just check that out at the online store, or if you're lucky enough to live close enough to the store in Utah, you can go and shop and take a look at everything she has there. So I'm matting this on to the cardstock, just like that. Isn't that pretty with that? It's a beautiful color, that coral rose with that. You could use a lighter pink or blue, but I think the pink is perfect with this. So then we'll also mat this one. I'm excited to get this second project made for you with the tutorial using the Tea in Wonderland exclusive paper collection from Country Craft Creations. I am using the 12 by 12. And my first project that I made with this collection was my little golden book junk journal. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I hope you'll check it out. There is a showcase video of that, as well as a full tutorial. Okay, so we got that one down. Paper clip the sections where these pattern mats that I just made go. One here and one here. Now, but before we glue them down, we need to think about where we need magnets to keep our flaps and things closed. So I know that one should go here. See how that flap's open? Or we can just use a tag. So I think I'm just going to use a tag in there to hold that flap down. So we're not going to worry about that one. Okay. This one here is a page, so I am not going to be attaching this one down to this section here, but I do need a magnet here. So I'm going to put magnet here. I'm just going to write it, unless you're ready to go ahead and do it now, and it'll end up being over here. So I'll do that before I do my patterned paper for those sections. So then when that turns up like that, this here will probably need a magnet as well, because let me see it when I close this up. Yeah, so I'm going to put a magnet here and a magnet here, just like that. It's going to be kind of a small catching it. It's either that or you make a closure, swing closure here, which would have to go under the pattern paper. So that, I think I might like that better. So never mind. I'm going to erase that, bring this over, and I'm going to put swing closure and Brad, or something like that. Okay, so then I know that. And I'm just going to take me a paper clip and clip this down for now. So while I'm working on this, it's kind of out of the way. One for this one, just like keep those out of the way so that we can go ahead and get everything attached down. So let's go ahead and glue this one down. I think this coral rose ended up being really pretty with this particular patterned paper here. Okay, make sure I'm not going upside down because it does have some lettering in there. And make sure it goes to the inside of the score lines. Okay, like that. Okay, that looks good. So I'll burnish that in. We just don't want to make sure that it's not over any of the score lines. So there's that section. Isn't that pretty? Flip this over, and this one's going to go right here. Okay, so for these two sections, you need two that are the same size, and you want to cut two My Colors cardstock at 4 3/8 wide by 8 1/8 tall, and two that are pattern paper 4 1/4 wide by 8 tall. And then in between this score line and this, you're going to have a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here gusset space. So about like that. Okay, now then, burnish that down. So there is that, like that, and we're ready to go ahead and keep assembling our waterfalls. So what I think I want to do is put 3 here at the top, and there will be a closure, which I should have put under my pattern paper, but I didn't. But it's going to be okay. We're going to work with that. We'll put something over that. So you should put yours on underneath before you put this piece down. Okay, and then this one will go this way with the closure, and then the rest will go on the other side. So I'm going to turn this sideways. Okay, so your first little waterfall flap, make sure it's burnished really good, and we're going to put glue. Remember, these are all the same size, so we put glue on that 1/2 inch there. And then on the top side here, coming towards the front, we're going to line this up right along the edge of the cardstock that's already on there. And I'm going to burnish that down right there. Then we're going to butt the second one up right up against that. Okay. Make sure it stays straight. So glue on your 1/2 inch. Right there. Up and burnish. And then the third one is going to go right in there with it. Okay. Glue on this one. And we are going to need magnets on the closures for these. Put this one down. And I apologize that I didn't put the 1/2 inch of that closure underneath that pattern paper, but the way to do that easily is to assemble this before putting this mat down, which I didn't do. So I don't think I can lift it up. I might be able to a little bit. Take this little flat spatula of mine. Make sure it just goes right along where that glue is. Because it's flat, it doesn't go into this side over here. And now let me see if I can slide it. Oh, I can. Yay. So I'm going to be able to attach this one down, and then I will try it on that one as well. So we're going to put glue. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit on both sides. And then we're going to slide this in underneath the pattern paper and center it like that and burnish. Open this up. And then I'm going to carefully put glue back under where I opened it up. Clean off any glue. And I fixed that one. So maybe we can with the other one too. So that's where we're going to put a magnet right here. Just going to put the word M, letter M, and then it'll be over here on that flap like that. Okay. So this next one, let me see if I can work this up a little bit. Yeah, I didn't have much glue there. So that's good. Okay, open that so that'll be ready for the closure flap. So this one is going to go right here on this side. Put your glue on your 1/2 inch. Put it right along the edge. Sure it's got clearance there. It does. And burnish that on. Lift it up. Grab your second one. Glue it on the flap on the 1/2 inch. Line it up. The fold, butt it up to the straight end of the one before it. And the next one. Burnish that down really good. Okay. Glue. And line this one up. So there's that one. And then we'll put this underneath. Get a little more lift up this way. There we go. Okay, so glue on both sides, right here, and then a little bit over here to seal that off. Slide it under, center it, bring it in so it's not in the fold, and burnish. And then, right here where I lifted it up just a little bit, you want a little more glue under that mat. Okay, and of course we'll have a magnet here and a magnet on this flap over here. So that's how those look. Let me grab a couple of paper clips to kind of help hold those down while we work on the other side. Okay. All right, so now this flips open and then we'll put the waterfall here. And this one we're going to put the rest of these, so there should be 7. And burnish each one. Try to remember to burnish it really well. So this first one's going to go right up here at the top. Kind of center it from side to side so it doesn't go all the way across. It's important to get that first one on as straight as you can. Take the glue, and I'm going to turn this sideways, kind of, so I can see a little better what I'm doing. So right up to the edge, almost of the page, and I'm going to make sure I have equal amounts of the pattern mat showing. Burnish that. Okay. Take your next one. The glue goes on the back of the 1/2 inch flap. And then you line it up, the fold of the flap, of the waterfall flap, right up against the end, the straight end of the one preceding it. And burnish that. And I didn't burnish that crease before I put it on there. Continue doing all of them the same way. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit and get these in. Okay, so there's all 7 in. Just going to go along and burnish, make sure they're kind of laying down pretty good. If you wanted to, this would be a fun place to put in one of those pull down waterfalls. And then I want to make sure this glues down below this one here. So I'm going to put it above this wording right there. So I'm going to put my glue on the back side. I forgot that that one comes up a ways. Line it up, kind of center it side to side. It looks good. And burnish that one down. So there will be a magnet here and a magnet on this side, just like that. Okay, so that's where we're at now. So next, let's put our magnets in so we can, don't forget those, even though we've marked it. We'll go ahead and put them in so that I can show you where to put them in. And then I will be cutting my pattern paper and speeding this all up to put the pattern paper in for this folio. And also, you need to remember to add a ribbon closure before you add any pattern paper. So I'll do the magnets and then I'll put the ribbon closure tie on before I go ahead and do any pattern paper. So let me grab some magnets and I'll be right back with that. So here, lift this one up. Pull the backing off of this one. We're going to put the magnet about right there. Peel the other paper backing off and then close it. Now you could use smaller ones. I think the heavier ones probably will hold, the bigger hold better. I'm going to see if I can carefully separate these now. Okay, because I like to put some Scotch tape on them. All right, that's really close to the edge. Don't like that. This needs to be moved a little closer there. And this one needs moved a little bit. I don't like it right on the edge of that waterfall. It's hard to glue them down like that. So that should put it a little further in. Yeah, that's better. And I like to tape. You could use score tape if you wanted to. I just like to use Scotch tape because it kind of covers it better. And tape these down. You just have to be careful there on this one so the tape's not hanging out. Okay, and then we're going to take one here, pull the backing off, and remember, let's put it a little further down, closer to the end here. Oop, not that close. Just so that we can glue the paper over it. Take the backing off and close this up and lift. Okay, that's okay. So we'll tape this down. Okay, so there's those. We have one more. Right here. Got plenty of room, I think, here. Pull the backing off of one side. I'm going to drop this down about 1/4 of an inch. And hopefully that gives me plenty of room. Right there, and it does. Okay, tape. So now we have our magnets on. Get that tape a little bit too long there. Stage. So for now, I'm going to go ahead, cut my papers. What I do is I cut it 1/8 of an inch shorter in height and width than what you're putting down. So if you're going to mat all of it, this double matting really makes your folio thicker, especially the pieces that go down into the folio or on the front and back covers. So I will probably do that. So my colors would be 1/8 shorter in width and height than the section you're going to put pattern paper on. That's my colors is the solid cardstock. Then your pattern paper would be another 1/8 of an inch shorter than the my colors, and 1/8 of an inch shorter in height, width and height. So I'm going to go ahead and off camera plan my papers, and then I'll probably be gluing them on or showing you, maybe fast forwarding. So we'll do that next. I've done a little bit off camera to my folio, and I'm going to go over it with you so you're not missing out. So you want to plan your ribbon closure, if that's what you want to close it with. You could do a belly band, whatever you want to close it with. I'm going to do the crinkled seam binding, and I did the double color. So this is white, and this is a coral, I believe it's called Coral Pink, from Country Craft Creations. I thought it looked really well with the darker coral color. And I added 2 links, I'd say about 10 inches each. So I had 4 pieces, 10 inches, 2 of white, 2 of the pink. And I spritzed them with water and crinkled them up and let them dry overnight. And they dried pretty crinkly, a little bit more than I normally do, but that's okay. This is Alice's folio, so it's going to be okay. Alice in Wonderland. Now then, what I did on the back is just like I did on the front. So I took score tape and put each piece on side by side, just the ends here on the cover. I did it also on the back, and I've already put my pattern paper down. And again, like I said earlier, I'm especially on the outside and on the first flaps, I did the my colors first, so that is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the cover, both directions, and then I did the pattern paper at 1/8 of an inch. If you like a bigger margin, then you can cut it that way, however you like. I am not going to give the pattern paper measurements in this because yours may be different how you want to do it. But for example, on this one, since the cover is 4.5, I cut my my colors, cardstock, the solid color, at 4 1/8. And then the heights, the album height is 4 1/4, so I cut the height at 8 1/8. And then the pattern paper comes in another little bit smaller at 4 1/4 by 8. So those are pretty consistent measurements. That's what I have for this piece here that's going to glue on right here. I did the same for the pieces here. I did the cardstock, and then I did the pattern paper on the spine section. So that gives them a lot of strength right in there. So I'm going to go ahead for right now and just show you how I'm going to glue this on over the ribbon. And take my glue on the back side. Just put your glue on. Especially right here around the corners, you want to make sure you get a good amount of glue on the corner edges. Okay, so I'm going to turn it sideways. Make sure this is kind of laying flat. Got it upside down right now. And I'm going to eyeball it. There's a very narrow margin, top, bottom, and sides. There we go. Press it down. Looks good. Then I'll go ahead and burnish it all the way down. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to burnish to make sure the corners are sticking down and the edges, and then the whole piece. And make sure you burnish right there over your ribbon. So you'll see I use this pattern so I could have the rabbit, the Mad Hatter's hat, right there on the bottom. Love that. If you don't want to do any decorating, that would be perfectly fine with this folio. It's got the beautiful pattern here. Okay, earlier I showed you putting magnets in, and I think I forgot one set, so I pulled out another set. I'm going to show you that really quick. See if I can find it. Magnet, magnet, magnet. Okay, I think it's right here. Got some cut apart, so I'm going to move out of the way. So I've cut my pattern papers and paper clipped them in. I show I need a magnet there and a magnet here that holds that flap down. Okay, put that this way. Right there and right there. So let's grab that magnet. set, really easy. We're going to pull that off the one side and attach it down. I'm going to kind of put it in the center, about 3/4 from the front edge. Tape that down. Posing magnet, and then take the backing off and just close it up. Put them apart. Tape this one down. So now that we're ready for the patterned paper for those sections, so this one will go right here. This one inside the pocket. This one goes on the outside. Okay. Are we done with that one or the blue? No, I'm confused. I think the blue is what I was going with. Or was it the pattern? I like that too. So we shall see if I've got it upside down. I'm going to make sure it goes the right way. All right. Hard to tell. This looks like the right way with the lettering. Okay, I'll decide which side I want on that. The next thing we need to do is the closure piece from here, I believe. Let's see. The one that I said would be a swing closure. And I have already attached this down. I made a mistake on those. So I think it goes here. Yeah. Swing closure. Let's set this aside. So I need a closure here that swings over that. So I'll have to make my swing on this side. So let me grab what I want to use that on that, and then we'll get that done. And then I will, in a speed up the video and show you just adding the pattern paper. Of course, you're going to choose what you want to put in yours. And remember, I cut all of mine 1/8 of an inch smaller length and width. So hang on. Okay. Since I messed up and forgot to put a swing tab on before making this, I was going to go ahead and do a different type of closure. So I have here a little clock that I punched out. But I think I'm going to use a magnet on this. So let me grab another set. And I'm going to, this is made out of punched out of the 3/4 inch out of the paper on the cover here. And then a piece of the blue cardstock. And then I put a piece of thin, lightweight chipboard behind that to make sure that it's not too thin of a paper. And I'm going to fit a large magnet. I'm going to use some glue to make sure it secures, because it does have sticky, but I want to make sure. And this large magnet will make like a button on this. It fits exactly. Okay. It's exactly right there. And then I'm going to cover it with another punch of patterned paper. So I'm going to find a scrap of paper that I'm going to punch. I've already bagged all my scraps up, but that's okay. Just grab me something, maybe this light blue color. Oh, there's my punch, my circle punch. So I punched one little circle to finish that back off. That's going to be quite a bit of thickness there, but it's going to be okay, I think. We do what we have to do, right? To fix our mistakes. So that's the back side. I'm going to have to let that dry. And that's going to sit right there. I like that clock on there. And then, since I'd already glued my paper on here, this is why I couldn't do it underneath it. I cut a smaller piece out of this black, and I think that's going to look really good. So it is 1/8 of an inch smaller than the pattern paper height and width. So this one I cut down to 1 5/8 by 7 7/8. So that's going to glue down over the magnet once that's attached on there. So I'm going to let this one dry a little bit. And it's going to glue like halfway. Should I put it all the way on there. I'm going to go ahead and put it all the way on there. It's like super thick. So I'm going to put the clock right there that I made. So I didn't have to put pattern paper on the back of it, but that's okay. It's overkill, right? So that magnet attaches there. And I'm going to pull the backing off of it and let it attach down on the blue. Let's see where it lands. It's pretty close there. That's okay. That's where I'm going to keep it. And then this is going to glue right over that. Okay, so I'll put glue on the magnet to make sure it really sticks down around it. Glue on the back side here. All of this to show you that, yes, I do make mistakes, forget to put things down when I'm supposed to, even though I made myself a note. But also to show you that don't get so upset with yourself that you've made a mistake, because mistakes are made and can be fixed. So there's no mistake you can't fix. Okay, so burnish that. And then when it closes down, there's a little close there. I'm going to just wipe that glue off right there. It's going to hold, and we have a little decorative piece there. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that got fixed. So now I'm ready to start adding my patterned paper. I am going to speed up the camera now, or the video, not the camera, but the video. And just keep working on this and get all the pattern papers down. And remember, if you're matting with the solid color here, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch shorter, or mine is. That's the sizes I'm using, than the width and the height. And then the pattern paper is another 1/8 of an inch shorter than the solid. And I just go ahead and when it's being matted like that, I glue my pattern piece down onto my colors, and then put the whole piece down onto the section of the album that I'm putting the pattern paper on. So go ahead, and I'm going to start speeding up the video now. And get all your papers cut and mat all the sections of your little folio. So I have everything patterned on the folio. My phone rang, and it was just a telemarketer, but I paused the video, the camera, to answer the phone, and then I forgot to turn it on. So I didn't show all the adding the pattern paper. I think I missed showing you these waterfalls, but they're real simple. You just cut it to fit and everything. So let me do a quick flip through of what I patterned. Of course, I did this in the front, in the spine. So I'd already shown you that. So this opens up. We got the stripe on both of these flaps like that. So then this one flips open, and we have our little flap and our pocket and tags, and I'll put probably more than that in there. This are both patterned front and back. And then, of course, I'm just going to pattern the front sides of that. And so I stub punch the pattern paper, and the cardstock of the folio was a scallop punch. So however you want to do your corners. So there's that. This opens up. So we have this section here, the pocket. Camera. This opens back. Of course, we have the clock here. This little booklet I forgot to show you. This was the booklet that we made, and I did the corners the same as I did the rest of it. I just wrapped it with twine and put a cut apart on the back to hold it down, and then I put photo mats on the inside. So that's all you have to do on that little booklet. You could make more than one if you wanted to. And then this waterfall flips down, and same way, it's just on the front sides of all of these. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as the folio goes. I have a bunch of tags I cut out, some of the cut aparts, and I think here on the cover I'm going to just keep it really simple. I'm going to just glue this little keyhole here. Sometimes you don't need a bunch of flowers and things on your cover. Of course, if you like that, go right ahead. I'm just going to put a keyhole on this one. I think it looks really cute like that. A bit crooked. I want it crooked. There we go. And then I was thinking maybe I could put on the top and the bottom, a pearl, flat back pearl. So let me get my scissors and grab a couple of these off. Very sticky. But then when I pull them off, they're not sticky, so I use glue. So I just think that dresses it up really pretty. And I am going to go off camera and finish all the inside up, adding cut aparts here and there. So you do you, just decorate it up the way you want to. And that is the tutorial for this little folio. Super easy to make. It's just made out of cardstock and your patterned paper. I want to thank you so much for watching my videos, for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't yet, I invite you to do so. It's real easy. Just down below, there's the word subscribe. Click on that, and then be sure and click the bell, because then that will send you notifications of every time I upload a video. So it's real handy to do. Give me a thumbs up, and as always, shop countrycraftcreations.com for your scrapbooking supplies. This is their exclusive paper collection called Tea in Wonderland. It's a fabulous collection. This is the 12 by 12. I also use the My Colors cardstock in the Coral Rose seam binding ribbon from Country Craft Creations, the light blue artisan cardstock for the base, and of course magnets, the basic gray magnets that you can order as well. So thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.